Right, so here we go. On my own, doing the reaction pod. I suppose sometimes it's better being on your own, isn't it? Oh, 4-0. 4-0 thumping. What can I say? Well, I've got to say something, right? I'm here. I've got to put out this podcast. For those of you who haven't seen it, all I can say is if you're old enough to remember the tournoi that happened in France, the teams that were included were France, Brazil, England, and Italy. And Brazil put on a performance in some of those games, especially in the first half, that were reminiscent of the 1970s Brazil team. They were sort of slightly sleeping giants. And then they came on and they played this scintillating football. And all I can say in that first half, I'm not likening us to, well, I sort of am. I'm likening us to that Brazil team in the tournoi in the first half. And if you're thinking, well, in the second half we didn't do, that well, we did score 2 goals, first of all. And I suppose it takes it out of you, right? I'm sure it does. And it was a professional performance in the second half. And that was that. We kept a clean sheet as well. So the only negative that I had sort of written down up until the 70th minute was, what the fuck are we doing with our corner taking? Because I wasn't too sure what the plan was. And honestly, I had recorded this voice note to myself, basically saying on the 69th minute, here's another corner. I don't see anything. And then Romero scored. So, yeah, that shuts me up. Van der Ven, even with one knee, still the fastest player on the pitch. What a great assist from him for Sonny's 4th. It was just all round great. And I suppose that shuts everyone up until the next game. But yeah, I'm not going to go through player by player because I thought all of them were great. Maybe not so great. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the players. I won't go through all of them. Brennan Johnson. I don't remember him taking on a player. And that for me is a bit of an issue, especially when you've got Wilson Odobert, who's come on. First game, he's 19, and he turned it on. You know, if you could hear the seats clacking whenever Odobert got the ball in that first half, then, you know that you're in for a ride with him. Johnson, I don't know what the plan is, because from what you can see from the way that Ange plays, he likes his wingers to take on players, and we've got one in Odobert. With Johnson, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's low on confidence. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but he's not fitting in right now. And there were times when I just thought, come on, mate, do it. You can do it. You've got the pace. We all heard how fast he is, but we're not really seeing it. But anyway, that's a negative. Let's not talk about that. We've just won 4-0, and I'm ecstatic. I can't even say the word ecstatic. Is that the word? Yeah, that's the one. Oh, I wonder what the other guys are thinking. I haven't actually even put out a link to invite them onto this. So, yeah, you won't probably hear from them. But, yeah, super happy. The way that we played, Romero was fantastic. Scored a goal. He was all over the place. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. As I said, Van der Ven as well. Udogie is coming back to his best. Porro was really good. Should we talk about Odobert a little bit? I've sort of talked about him for a few seconds, but I thought he was really, really good. And I'll tell you what, he's the only player I've ever seen where when he plays live, it's like his compilation, his YouTube compilation, just without the funky music. And yeah, I think there's a lot more to come from him. The atmosphere was great. In the second half, yeah, it sort of dwindled. The team did as well. It's just because they didn't want to exert that much energy, and maybe they couldn't. And that's completely understandable. Do you know what I mean? Everton weren't great. Let's be honest. And if you want to put it into some sort of perspective, they had a lot of their players out. And even the players, let's say, some of their best players, even if they were back, would we have still put on a show like that? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think we need to give some praise to Balloon Boy Bissouma. who, especially I would say in the first 60 minutes, was everywhere. He was a number 6, he was a number 8, and at some points even a number 10. He was everywhere. He scored the first goal, an absolute thunder cunt. Fantastic to see. His first goal for the club. It was good to see that, after, he had celebrated with his team and he'd, shown appreciation to the fans. He then ran over to Ange, gave him a quick hug. And I think there is a player there. It's not I think. We know that there's a player there. I think that he needs to get his head right. Then again, if I look back when I was 27, 28, I was a right idiot as well. Josh still is. So it's just the way things are. It would be nice if he does start to mature. Maybe this is like the thing that happened is, that the ringing of the bell that says, right, pull your socks up. Let's get into it. Do you know what I mean? Because we need to get into it. Right, let's go through Twitter. We've been going for like 6 minutes. This feels weird. All right, so everyone's happy. There's no doom mongering. Let's see. Any Ange outs? Ange out. Let's see. Latest. No. Wow. No Ange outs. Weird. Right, so on the way back from the pub, I was listening to TalkSport and they had Troy Deeney say, this is, just bear in mind, we've just won 4-0. The thing I fear about Spurs, I'm sort of paraphrasing, is that they need to take their chances. And if Solanke is that person, then great. But if not, they're going to be in trouble. Did he say trouble? Not too sure. I don't know. I sort of see where he's coming from. I do. And if he was like talking right after the Leicester game, then I'll say, yeah, fair enough. You've got it bang on. What you've just said is full of cliche, and that's fine. Most pundits, that's all they can do, just pull out the cliche dictionary. But after 4-0, I don't think that was the slight negative that you could have picked on. I think that there were other things, if you wanted to point out some of the things we've said here, that you could have said. But to say that we weren't clinical, I think we were. To be fair, I think he also said, or maybe the other guy said, I don't know who it was, that if we did have, let's say, someone up top who could take the chances, we would have scored 7 or 8, and that's true. We would have scored 7 or 8 goals today. There was only one moment where, you know that moment when you're watching Spurs and you go, oh, what are you doing? There's only one moment in the first half when we started to play it back and back and back and back, and you couldn't see Ange at this point at the touchline, but you could sense what he was saying, like, play it forward for fuck's sake. And it was one of those moments where it was like, come on, what are you doing? But they got out of it. And that's all right. We are going to make mistakes. We're not the finished article. But there were some points during that first half where I thought, and you probably cane me for this, cane me for saying caned, but secondly, because we looked like a championship winning side. It was scintillating stuff. Forget Leicester. This was great. Maddison is coming back to his best. Taken off, and I think it's good that the players are taken off, and it's good to see that we've actually got a squad. Now, during the week, as you know, I listened to quite a few podcasts, and there were some, they weren't being negative, but they were saying, look, we haven't, I said the same thing, by the way, that we haven't really strengthened the first 11. And yeah, I agree with that. I do. But you know what? It's not just about the first 11 anymore, is it? It is a squad game. And when we bring on the likes of Gray, who is a bit raw, to be honest with you, I saw that with his positioning. There were some points when he came on where he would pass the ball and then he would sort of chase down the player that he had passed the ball to, which was a bit weird. But he'll get better. Bergvall is looking really good. Sarr coming on. That's great. It's good to see Werner didn't come on. And we've actually now got a bench where you can go, we can make changes, we can bring on additional energy when needed. And so that's great. And I think in January we'll probably strengthen again. It's difficult, by the way, it is difficult, but with PSR, there could be a point where teams need to sell, both in the Premier League and worldwide. And we go again, then we go again in the summer, and we sign more players. But right now, after this performance and in the first half against Leicester, can I say that we can finish in the top half of the... sorry, I'm not talking about top half. In the top 4? 100%. Absolutely, definitely. Right, because I'm running out of things to say, and I didn't want to end it after like nearly 11 minutes. Let's just go back to Twitter. Let's see what people are saying. Oh yeah, by the way, Bentancur, he would have had a great game today, but he was out. Yeah, gung-ho football. That's what I'm reading here. That we controlled the game. I'm not going to read out these people's names because some of them can't even pronounce. I don't know if they're bots. The stats in the first half were fantastic. I actually have them on my phone. I had to leave the pub to get this pod done. So I didn't actually see the second half stats, which is naughty of me. But first half stats, like we were 2-0 up, 75 possession. XG 1.46, so we bettered our XG. Everton's were 0.98. Completed passes, 291 to Everton's 71. Pass accuracy, 91 to 70. Now 91, remember that number. Touches in the opposition box, 18 to Everton's 15. To be fair, if Everton had touched the ball 15 times in the first half in our box, I don't remember it happening. Distance covered in kilometres, 54.4. Compared to Everton's 53.1. Now, Everton, I suppose that the reason they had to run so much was to try and, number one, break our press and then stop us from having all that possession. So there's that. Let's take a look at some of the other stats. Now, remember the 91. Bissouma scored 1 goal this first half. Pass accuracy, 91%. Took 1 shot, scored. He had 60 touches and he'd covered 5.5 kilometres. Now, I don't know what he did in the second half, but he was our standout player. If you take a look at Son, who, you know, even me to a point, we mentioned this on the pod, was thinking, oh, you know, is his body not doing what his mind wants to do? Well, he scored a goal in the first half. He had 2 shots on target, 31 touches. Touches in the opposition box, 1, and he had ran 4.8 kilometres. I can't compare that to Son of last season or the season before, but 4.8 kilometres is probably less than what he would expect. But it is what it is. Yeah, we've got to talk about Son's first goal. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their keeper... His name escapes me for the time being. God, I can't believe I don't remember his name. I should know his name. He's probably screaming it out now. That guy, he plays in the sticks, in between the sticks for Everton. What was he doing? He's really not the type of keeper that would do anything in an Ange system. I can't believe that people were even stupid enough to link us with him, because when he had the opportunity to try and play it out from the back, he fluffed it completely. And it was a great assist to Son, who just rolled it in. And that was that. The atmosphere, as I said, looked absolutely great. And so, just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely brilliant. I think we're done. Nearly at 15 minutes. Anyway, if you've... Oh, yeah, so Jordan Pickford. Thanks, Twitter. If you guys have any points to make, leave them in the comments. Send us in your questions for Tuesday's pod. I'm having a nightmare. And I suppose that's it. Am I missing anything? I don't know. We were just great, guys. Do you know what I mean? We were absolutely fantastic. I mean, And the high point was that Hannah even introduced her boyfriend to some of the guys at Hotspur Way, which was great. There's bromance booming. It was weird that Hannah's boyfriend seemed to wear the same clothes as Jaymes. I don't know what was going on there. Apparently Hannah had rectified it. So if you do see someone walking around in nude, just say, "All right, Harry." And that's it. 15 minutes, thereabouts. Twitter's a bit boring, other than saying that we're world beaters, we're the best. No Ange outs, no Levy outs. Where are you, purple and gold? I mean, Brexit's about, and UKIP's about. Well, Brexit really isn't purple and gold, is it? UKIP is. You can support them, tonight if you want. Not a problem. 4-0. If you can hear that in the background, it's because the wife's just come in, put the kettle on. It's not bad. Right, so I'm going to probably have a cuppa. Catch you on Thursday, guys. See you later.